Fish, sugar, out.
Fish wife, out.
Fish wife.
Fish wife.
Oh,
Out.
all right. You're in the video.
What?
You're in the video and you're staying there. Welcome.
Howdy, everybody.
There's Marcia Fisher. I easily convinced her to marry me. It was no work at all. It was a good trick. All right, have fun. But I am not as easily convinced that the Dallas Cowboys should draft Micah Parsons. We will make an argument for it here, however. Fish in the Fish Bowl, owned by MARCIA, and in Frisco, home of the Dallas Cowboys. No, not Micah Parsons at 10. The thumper linebacker at Penn State, I think, is probably the best linebacker in this draft. Yes, better than J.O.K., who doesn't really have a position. Yes, better than Zaven Collins from Tulsa, played at a arguably lower level. Yes, better than the whole bunch. Micah Parsons. Had it not been for his decision to COVID sit last year, a decision, by the way, that he says he made to benefit his young son, he might be unquestionably a top 10 guy. He might have dominated at that level this year in college football at Penn State, because the last time we saw him, he did dominate, and it was right over there at AT&T Stadium, and he did it all for Penn State that day. The other thing he did that day was take pictures of himself at AT&T Stadium, making it really clear, I would love to really work here someday, 8 to 10 times a year. So Micah would like to be a Cowboy. Would the Cowboys like Parsons to be in Dallas? Not at 10. He forced fumbles in that game. He harassed the quarterback in that game. He was going east and west. He was going north and south, and he won the Cotton Bowl defensive MVP on the part of Penn State. He's big. He can run. Plays with attitude. But his status is still a bit unknown here. And I would add, in what makes this an interesting conversation, I think the Cowboys' status at linebacker is unknown, although they don't. You are aware of the conversations I've had with the Cowboys about K.J. Wright, and they had a visit with him to the veteran Seattle linebacker. And in the end, as we reported here, exclusive, the Cowboys said no on K.J. Wright. And their thinking was, we already have guys like that, and we're fortified there with Jalen Smith and with Vander. Now, we're going to make the argument, Jalen Smith, friend of the show. Vander, friend of the show. Jalen is coming off an up-and-down season, to say the least. Forget the lightning rod, kooky on-field behavior stuff. I know that bothers you. I don't care about that. I just want him, and I know he wants to be the player that he was made to be before the devastating leg injury. And, of course, his comeback there is a spiritual and scientific miracle. Wonderful thing. But now, let's get Jalen Smith playing at a high level all the time, something that did not happen last year. Vander is capable of playing at a high level too, but injury issues, most recently the neck. Now, he says, neck's fine, I'm better than ever. Vander also says, now, talking to those of us in the DFW media, I'm ready to lead this team. I want to take the reins and show us how collectively we're going to work to get better. Fantastic concept. But neither one of them have done enough of it. So the Cowboys think there's not a need for another guy there, to the point where they said no to K.J. Wright and didn't even make him a financial offer. They talked years, but not dollars. So if you think that, do you think you need Micah Parsons? Not at 10. But if he's the top linebacker in this class, and I believe he is, and the Cowboys make their pick at 10, or even if they drop down from 10, which I don't find to be an advisable idea, make your pick at 10 and then find a way to loop back in to the back end of the first round. And you look at, as we get to 18, 19. Cowboys watch Washington at 19. I think Washington's taking a linebacker. We shall see. And maybe it'll be Micah Parsons. It could be Darisaw, the offensive lineman. They could go a lot of ways. They could also, they're very interested in Trey Lance in Washington. So there could be movement there. Now we're at pick number 20. And it's Chicago, who you will have already had conversations with. In this scenario, you did not trade 10 back to 20, so Chicago would come up and get the quarterback. In this scenario, you made your pick at 10. But you've had your conversations with Chicago. They weren't able to get what they wanted at quarterback, let's say. So you get Chicago to trade you 20. You've got a package in exchange, 44 and a third rounder, 75, right? You go up to 20. And you do that if you see the bundle. And the bundle would include, in my mind, Alabama defensive tackle Christian Barmore, the Tulsa linebacker Zavon Collins, the safety from TCU, Trevon Moehrig, and I think Micah Parsons. If you could get a guy who's a top 10 player in the minds of most at 20, there's an immense value there. Now, the Cowboys don't always put immense value on linebackers, except Vander was the 19th overall player taken in the first round, and as we know, Jalen Smith was a second-round pick. So they have in recent years spent at linebacker. That's a suggestion that they're not scared of doing it again. Fancy numbers on Parsons at Penn State. Final season there, 730 snaps. Almost 600 of them came from base linebacker positions, but tight end or running back goes into the slot. He handled 10% of the time. He handled those guys. Coverage in the slot. He also blitzes as an edge rusher at 6'3", 246, running a 4.36 40. 4.36, 4.39. He had a hazing incident at Penn State in the 2018s, 2019s. Are we still doing that? And I don't know all the details, so maybe we won't ever know all the details. How much does that scare a team off? Thinking this guy's, again, without knowing the details, and let's do allegedly as we frequently do around here. Is he immature? Is he a kook? Is he a bully? Is he a bad teammate? Production makes Parsons viable in this thesis. The measurables make him viable in this thesis. Get your mind and your body right and get teams to make sure that they're right. And there's nothing wrong with his body. Teams will be doing the research and have been doing the research on his mind. And I think Micah Parsons could be the first linebacker taken in this draft, or people could decide that that silliness is a little too borderline for me, causing him to slip and causing him to be in that 20s bundle that I wonder if the Cowboys wouldn't be tempted to jump back up into. I'm not saying I'm a strong advocate of the idea. I think that you aren't really hanging out at linebacker as much as you are at defensive tackle or at safety or at cornerback and maybe even at offensive tackle. 75% of the time I'm playing two linebackers. If the two linebackers I played are Jalen and Vander Esch, and oh, by the way, Keanu O'Neal is now a linebacker. So maybe my cupboard's not bare there at all. But this is an interesting name to watch for where he goes and when he goes and whether or not the behavioral stuff is an issue. Micah Parsons, there's the argument for him. to be in the 20 package that the Cowboys quite possibly look at for a move back up. Thank you for subscribing to what we do. Thank you for watching what we do here. 26,000 strong in Cowboy Nation every day, and we appreciate you being one of them. Fish out.